Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Walpole Business Spotlight Show. My name is Harry Brusades. I'm the host of the show, and the show is brought to you through the efforts of Walpole Media TV and the Walpole Chamber of Commerce. I'm also the president of the Walpole Chamber of Commerce, and the reason for the show is to bring into spotlight local business owners, sales professionals, entrepreneurs, so our residents locally and in surrounding communities can get to know, like, and trust these people and make great buying decisions. My guest today is Kevin Martin from Nerds to Go. Kevin?
Hi, Harry. Thank you very much. Today. Thanks for having me.
So, if we could, you've just recently launched this franchise business.
Correct.
And you also just became a member of the Walpole Chamber of Commerce, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I know you were trying to locate your business in Walpole, but that didn't work out, and now you're actually going to be physically located in Franklin, but your coverage area is going to include Walpole and surrounding communities.
Absolutely true.
Awesome. So, if we could, let's get to know a little bit more about you first. Currently, you're living in Rentham, Mass.
Correct.
And you didn't grow up in Rentham, though, did you?
No, I grew up in Vermont and graduated high school there, then went off and joined the military.
So we were talking a little bit off camera about that whole experience. I did notice that, I always look through people's experience and trying to find a hobby, but what I did see was that you were in the Navy. And you tell me a little bit more about the Navy experience.
So I decided I needed to get right into something a little different than the hills of Vermont. So I selected submarines and the submarine force. My intention was to become a scuba diver, and I ended up spending 9 years in the Navy. Great career, learned a lot, traveled mostly in the Pacific coast. I was an instructor at the submarine school down in Groton, Connecticut for several years. I learned my advanced electronics training while I was in the Navy.
Interesting. So how long of a period of time did you spend in a submarine for one time without coming out? Or?
Great question. So my longest trip was 110 days on station without sunlight. In the end, as we approached the 90th day, which is a typical amount of food that we would carry on board, we ended up with a lot of canned ham and fresh baked bread. So 4 meals a day, canned ham any way you can prepare it, on different types of bread.
And is it as tight as you can imagine as far as like the hallways or your bed, and all that?
So we go through a lot of training, psychological evaluation to make sure that we can stay in a contained environment for a prolonged period of time. It is somewhat tight. It's kind of like being in a pop-up camper at night. It's small. The enlisted crew is about 90 people. These are nuclear submarines. They can go for long periods of time without having to surface. So, yeah, we felt pretty contained a lot of times, and there were restrictions in our day-to-day movements.
That's another thing I was going to ask, if it was a nuclear sub. Are they all basically nuclear subs now?
So when I joined originally to be a diesel engine mechanic, and I envisioned myself going to a diesel-powered submarine. They were all nuclear. I got to the closest thing that I could, which was the USS Seawolf, which was the second nuclear submarine after the Nautilus, which was SSN 571. Circumnavigated the globe on nuclear power.
None of this is confidential, by the way?
Not confidential. Okay. And everything I did, there's a great book called Blind Man's Bluff that talks about my specific career.
Really? Wow. Well, we could have a whole show just about this, but we need to talk about your business. So again, your business is Nerds to Go, and we had also spoke about how a lot of your naval experience that brought you through electrical engineering. Is that correct?
Advanced electronics. I was a technician in the Navy.
Okay. So that got you to get a lot of experience in that field, got you to go through college and get a great degree at Brandeis, and then you went into the business world.
I did.
So let's start with that.
Yes. So I went into semiconductor manufacturing at first and kind of leveraged the electronic experience that I had. And then I moved in from there into software, working for a software development company in Boston, headquartered in Boston. I stayed with them for 18 years. And throughout my career with that one company, I was able to do a variety of different things, starting with account management, going into project and program management, which is what my degree is in, and then getting into sales support, sales solutions, and generally helping out the sales staff. So a long career with one company, accumulated a lot of experience, and now I'm leveraging all of that experience and bringing my technical background along with my business experience into this new venture in Nerds to Go.
Excellent. And I think, just to ask a question, married?
Married.
And so again, living in Rentham. Any children?
3 children.
What are the ages?
19, 18, and 17.
Any of the kids going to the service as well?
No, the older 2 are both in college.
Okay.
One out towards Pittsburgh and one down Long Island, New York. And my daughter is still finishing up high school. So yeah, we're very active. We've had this community has served us very well.
Is that King Philip for the high school?
She actually goes to Bishop Thean.
Oh, nice. Very nice. All right, so all this led you to kind of an awakening of, being in the corporate world, dealing with millions of people, I think we talked about, and now going from millions of corporate vendors and clients to a local place in Franklin where you will potentially be in somebody's basement office working on their laptop. Okay.
Right.
So why did you feel that was something to explore, and why do you feel that's a market that I guess is open for you?
Well, so with my technical experience, I felt like the franchise that Nerds to Go represents was a very good fit for me personally. Also with my experience in the technical world, dealing with technicians who are interesting people, but can be very different than kind of mainstream. So for me, having the ability to bridge the gap between these technical people and the people who need the service, and the service itself is anything from your Apple devices, your PCs, desktop PCs, down to your smartphones and smart TVs. We cover all of that and the network that connects them together. So I have the ability to use my experience working specifically in customer success, making sure that the customer experience is the most important thing when these technicians come in. And as you say, they get behind people's desk and really into their personal areas, whether we're at their work or whether we're at their basement office or helping to serve someone in their family. All of that stuff requires someone to pay attention to the details, listen very well, and make sure they have a good experience.
And I'd like to just kind of broadcast a couple times through the show. What is your best contact information website?
Yeah, it's www.nerdstogo.com.
Okay. All right. And then you got 1-800-390-NERD.
Correct.
Does that get to you guys as well?
That gets directly to us as well.
Okay, great. So again, I always do some research on the website, and this is about the About Us section for your company, and it talks about Nerds to Go is dedicated to providing customers with fast, friendly, and knowledgeable computer service and technology solutions for a variety of devices. Our professionals, nerds, can help fix your Apple, Android, or Microsoft product, from cracked iPhones to slow or unresponsive laptops and everything in between. This is why when you see our uniformed professionals roll up in their Nerds to Go car, you can trust that you're getting exceptional service no matter how big or small your repair or service needs to be. So that's kind of what you talked about. So your vans or cars and trucks are very unique. Orange, correct?
They're yellow.
Yellow.
They're yellow, and they've got this logo on it.
Okay.
So they do stand out in a crowd a little bit, and we want them to be visible, and we want people to recognize them.
So I know one thing that, let's try to use some personal experiences, something goes wrong with the computers or at the house. And so we're talking residential now. And usually it's one of the kids have done something that they weren't supposed to do, or who knows, somebody kicked over something and what have you. So something's not working, and you get that call from your wife or your child, and you're like, okay, and it takes you a day or two to even get to look at it, and then you go to try to bump your head underneath the desk, and you're playing with wires, and you're like, oh my God. Then it's like, who do I call, right? So you, number one, have to try to call somebody that's proficient in what they do, but also somebody that's going to be trusted because of security reasons, all right? Number one, security as far as the information you have on your hardware, but number two, you're letting somebody into your home. And I've been very fortunate to, work with a lot of like Walpole Chamber members or other people that I've worked with locally or through networking groups that I'm in, to get to the point where I trust them so much where here's the keys, I'll see you at 5 o'clock, or just let me know when you're leaving and lock the door behind you. So, hopefully that will get to the point where you're working with the same people or representatives in the same neighborhood where they get to trust people like that. So when it comes to residential problem areas, what are you seeing most there?
Well, a lot of what's active right now, even with MacBook, which, and the Macintosh components, a lot of people end up buying those solutions because they believe that they're not susceptible to some of the common problems in the PC world, such as adware, malware, and ransomware. Mm-hmm. And those things are actually now, through the course of evolution, becoming very popular. And a lot of that has to do with us being programmed to kind of accept things. When you navigate to a new site or you sign up for a new account, it's accept, accept, accept. How detailed were you when you read through the privacy statement at the bottom of that? And that opens up a door that allows some of these malicious things to come in. So we do see that not only on the PCs, but also on the Macintosh components. And that's a big area that we come in and help clean up. Other areas include networks. So people have so many devices right now that are trying to connect kind of at the same time. And for the most part, the first approach is to call their service provider and say, I don't think my network is fast enough. And those folks come out, but that may not be really the strongest technician for that type of work. So we can bring a specialist in. Our folks are certified. They sweep through everything. Not only will they address the issue that you were called for, but make sure everything else is connecting and getting on well, so in case another visit might be necessary at a future date.
And of course, you would try to prepare people for future incidents or help them, I guess, in regard to some educational things. Where I know a lot of times you'll get onto some site, some site will pop up and it'll like, don't shut down. You'll be this. You can shut down and restore your computer, just versus picking up the phone and calling this targeted type of spyware thing.
Yeah, that's usually ransomware. And,
right.
And people get scared by that. The other thing is scareware, where it's not really doing what it's saying it's doing, but it's enough to scare us.
Sure.
And so we can help discern what type of problem or issue that really presents.
So the point there is, don't do anything that those websites are telling you to do. Pick up the phone and call somebody that's trusted and local.
Yeah,
correct?
absolutely. And when you call, a customer service representative is going to listen to what you're experiencing, and they're going to let you know right up front approximately what this service might entail and give you kind of an estimate for what it will take when the technician gets there. That allows you to decide, is it for me or not?
Right.
And I like the open approach that the franchise offers. It's just very conducive for everybody to kind of understand what's coming next.
Okay. And you guys are available 24/7 even for residential?
We are. So it's a call center that they'll call into. It's actually located in Connecticut, so you're not calling overseas. And
nice.
And we are an equal opportunity employer, so I'm not saying that you won't have somebody that has an accent, but
sure.
The people are located here in the United States, and the call comes back to the appropriate region. And we have offices nationwide now. And what's really great about that is as the technician comes to your site, if they have an issue and they need help, they've got a place to call as well. So these guys aren't winging it, and they have the support that they need as well.
So just going through the how can we help you residential side of things, some important things can be slow computers, potential viruses, child protection is a great one, wireless networking, which never works in my house the way it's supposed to, high-speed internet setup, DSL and cable modem setup, training, beginner, intermediate, and expert support, smartphone service and repair, and gaming console service and repair.
Right.
So that's kind of cool. The kids stuff, it's like, oh, I have no idea what's going on with their stuff. Like the Wi-Fi or the Wii or Xbox. They're like, oh, I'm like, listen, I can barely fix the computer. Don't get me to start it on this other stuff. So that's pretty cool that you can help the family with the kids stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, all those things. And the nice thing is it doesn't really matter where you made the purchase from. Whatever devices you have, we have people that are skilled in those areas, and we'll make sure that the technician gets through the challenge that you have.
All right, so now let's move to the business side of things. Tell me what your target market is for, say, small to medium-sized businesses.
Yeah, it's really small business, and
Okay.
there's a whole market out there of people. It almost doesn't matter what the type of business is. It could be a nail salon with just one computer behind the desk. It could be a barber shop, a chiropractor's office, veterinarian's office. And these systems are, maybe they have a network. They've got maybe 1, 2, 5 computers, up to 10 computers even. A lot of those folks are not going to keep an IT professional on staff. And so for them, they want someone who's quick, professional, proficient, comes in, gets the job done, gets them back to business. And everybody wins in that situation. They know up front what the pricing is going to be. There are opportunities on both the residential and small business side to buy packages. So if you're going to have a person come in 5 times in a year, you can prepay for that service and call it, have us respond as soon as you need it. And that's a convenience thing that a lot of small business owners really benefit from.
So on the business side of things, you talk about on your website about, again, email communication, whether that's the setup or the working day-to-day part of that, spyware, viruses, Apple services. Then I guess you have the different operating systems for Microsoft, Vista, XP, Windows 7, managed services, Linux managed services. What are those two managed services?
Yeah, you're getting into server level type of communication. So a lot of people will have databases and servers that are hosting their files. And that allows us to help them communicate. So a lot of small businesses these days are still hosting their own servers. They haven't made it to the cloud yet. So that's another area where we can help small businesses, whether they want to migrate to the cloud and they want to know how to get there, or whether they want to find content that's in the cloud and need help connecting with that. We can help them in that area too.
Then you got business consulting services. What would that entail?
Depends on the type of business and the type of challenge that they have, but if they have a need and they want to know how do we solve that need, maybe they want to expand to another office, but they want to have the connection to cross-pollinate files from one place to another. We can help guide them through that, making sure that everybody's connected in the appropriate way.
I think is greatly lacking is, I'm 50 and I was that age group that we still had typewriting class in school. And when I got to college, I think I got an intro to Excel, and that was all I had as far as everything else was hands-on learning. And I'm good on the surface level, but what's definitely lacking for small businesses and entrepreneurs and sole proprietors is with Excel spreadsheets or something. I can have the information, but I don't know how to use it. How do you merge that onto a letterhead? How do you get that out through email? All those type of things. That's more on the software side, I guess.
It is.
Any idea where that would,
So we do provide training, and a lot of the training is entry level. So we're probably not going to get too deep into mail merge documents from an Excel spreadsheet or a database, but that's the type of thing that you can use something like Excel to do, so it all merges at the printer. And nowadays, it's merging at a wireless printer on the network. So a lot of small businesses could benefit from just knowing those capabilities exist.
Right.
They may need to contract with us or with a more powerful provider like Microsoft provides training. I'm not sure if you'll have the time to do it or not, but we can certainly give you some of the basic stuff to maybe get you to that next level of knowledge.
And do you have to integrate with, say, other vendors? Like if I've got a web design and hosting person and I need that you guys need to talk to that person?
We certainly can do that, but we also have, most of the vendors that we work with are hardware providers like Apple, HP, and Dell. And so we have the peripherals and the supporting elements that are required from them to give preferred pricing. And the reason that's important to us is because we need to be competitive in the marketplace. So if there are large stores, whether they're online or local, that you have access to, those are good places to acquire components, and we can certainly help you with those components. But we also can provide you with what we have at a good price, competitive price, to make sure that we're not pricing anyone out of the market.
So I guess my best guess is, a small business owner, maybe three or four workstations. Maybe that's tied into his register, if he has one at point of purchase. Has probably got everything set up at one point, probably had a problem along the way and hired somebody real quick to come in. For you as your target market as well, I think you had mentioned how you're going to be going around and introducing yourself to a lot of business owners.
Correct.
I assume it would be a great opportunity for them to have somebody come in and get a fresh look as far as what's going on and how they may want to employ some type of strategy moving forward, whether that be making their system more efficient or getting ready to protect them for something that will occur sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely. So we refer to that as technical debt. And what happens is over the years, people will, they'll have someone come in, Cousin Jimmy's really good on the computer. And so you go over and help your uncle out on a weekend and you get something kind of cobbled together. It works. They see how it works. They don't necessarily get it and they don't necessarily know enough to question it. But it's in place. It's worked for many years. It's the system we have. But operating systems change. Things change. In fact, today, the computers that we're running today, especially because we're doing so much more on the internet now than we were 5 and 10 years ago, the capacity and capability of your computer, even if it was really powerful 5 years ago, is probably not set up to run efficiently in the internet space. And a good example might be Google Docs. If you're running Google Docs, all that processing is happening in a different location now. It doesn't matter how much processing power you have these days because it's all happening in RAM and additional memory. So you need to either add content in the memory space to be able to process those documents better. Otherwise, it feels like things are kind of lagging. I don't understand what's going on. You think your computer's not running well, but the processor's great. Turns out the problem is the memory. Okay. Those are the types of technical things that happen that it's good to just have an advocate in your corner and say, I think you should consider this. And the other thing is, we can fix that. We can make a bunch of adjustments to that old system, but there's this option as well. It gets you a lot closer to what you need, and it might not be that much more expensive.
Sure.
So at least have the discussion, allow you to make an educated decision, and I think as an advocate, whether you're a small business person or a resident, that's still relevant.
So that reminds me of an episode or a skit on Saturday Night Live. Do you remember Jimmy Fallon, that skit when he'd come in and the guy would complain about his computer and he could just say, get out of the way. And he'd go in and go boom, 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 and said, you don't know anything. You know what I mean? You're stupid. And so when you think about nerds, that's your first perception is this guy's going to come in, this know-it-all, He doesn't care about me. He's just going to fix the computer, call me an idiot because I don't know anything and I did something stupid, and on he goes. So what we're hoping to see, if I was a business owner, is for somebody to come in, be nice, acknowledge that we don't know everything about the computer system, make the fix, find out what happened to have the problem occur, but then try to educate me more on how we can alleviate that problem moving forward, or also offer aspects of what might else I be able to do to grow my business and make me more technology savvy, I guess.
Yeah, that's some great points. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on is that we hire technicians, but we certify them as nerds. And really it's that transition from the technician who may not be very personable. Let them understand not only are they coming into somebody's space, but they're communicating on a level that they need to understand, and that they need to be respectful, clear and concise, write down what we've done and show it to that customer so that they understand what's happened. And that could include recommendations, next steps, what to expect after the service, things of that nature. So hopefully it is an education and people walk away feeling informed, like they didn't just get run over by kind of an abrupt technician that didn't really spend the time to make it personal.
Sure. Well, I think this is a great business opportunity for you and a great idea to help our local business owners and residents for their computer needs. We are getting close to the end, and I just want to always try to ask about some hobbies. So I know I saw a picture on Facebook. I think you're into biking.
Yes, I ride both road bicycles and mountain bikes.
Very nice. Does that come from Vermont?
That's a Vermont thing.
Okay. And did you mention the scuba diving from the Navy?
So I was a very avid scuba diver, but I have not scuba dove in many years now.
Oh, really? What would be your deepest dive, I guess?
Not that deep, probably around 80 feet. Maybe 100 during
anything
training.
Cool, like a shipwreck or anything like that?
Done some shipwrecks, a lot of reef diving. Most of the diving I did wasn't in the cleanest water. So the personal diving is always much more exciting. I will tell you that there was this one time off Electric Beach in Honolulu, Hawaii, which is one of the power plants that discharges warm water into the ocean, into the Pacific. And we scuba dove out, kicked our way out probably about a mile offshore, and we would dive down into this warm discharge water, and that's where the sea turtles would all congregate. And they're almost like cats, the way they snuggle into the coral.
Yeah.
Warm water surrounds them, and we'd be able to go down and, you'd see them. They're so majestic, just kind of cruising through the water. That was quite an experience.
It reminds me of the Nemo movie.
Oh, I love that
original
movie.
Well, great. This was awesome. Thanks for coming on the show. If you could just let us know again the best contact information.
The Nerds to Go website is the best place, www.nerdstogo.com. And shoot me an email, kmartin@nerdstogo.com.
Awesome. So we'll see that up on the info on the show as well. We'll get that up on there. So again, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks, Harry. I appreciate it.
Very welcome. And again, I appreciate everybody for viewing today. Again, the show is all about getting to get information out there to the local public about local businesses and sales professionals so you can make great buying decisions. So again, thank you for viewing and have a great day. Be well, be safe.